Today, little bananas, I'm going to teach you how to draw and color with Bic Banana Ink crayons. These are Bic Banana Ink crayons.
Hey there. If you were a teenage girl in the 1970s, you know fall didn't just look different. It smelled like something you can still remember if you dare to open that time capsule. Number 1. Mimeograph Ink, aka the Ditto High. You didn't just get excited when the teacher passed out those freshly copied worksheets. You breathed them in like a reward. That purple, chemically ink smell hit you like a wave of excitement. You held it close, took one long sniff, and then maybe gave it a second whiff before pretending you were totally over it. That was fall in school. Cool air through the window, chalk dust in the background, and mimeograph ink front and center like some twisted form of aromatherapy. Today's printers don't smell like anything. No wonder kids are bored. Number 2. New Denim.
What if man had turned out differently? Then where would he wear Levi's stay-pressed slacks or Levi's fashion jeans? Would he put Levi's herringbone on his fins?
You remember this one. Not just new clothes, but the smell of them. That inky, stiff denim scent that practically shouted, "These haven't even been washed yet." Fall meant back-to-school shopping, and back-to-school shopping meant jeans. Whether they were Levi's, Dittos, or Wrangler, they all had that signature chemical meets cotton scent that somehow meant new beginnings. And when you slid into those brand-new bell-bottoms, the fabric practically squeaked. You'd stretch, squat, twist, trying to break them in, while smelling like a Sears catalog. Number 3. Crayons and rubber cement.
If green were simply green, then grass and emeralds and peas would all be the exact same color, which they're not. That's why we make a sea green.
Art class in the fall hit different. Something about the shorter days and crunchy leaves made every doodle feel deeper. The Crayola box, 36 or 64, depending on your family's finances, smelled like childhood itself. Wax, cardboard, and a little bit of hope. The paper wrappers would get worn and greasy by October, and someone always had a broken burnt sienna rolling loose in the tray. And then there was rubber cement, officially used for collages. Unofficially sniffed by half the class and weaponized by the rest. It was arts and crafts with a side of lightheadedness. Number 4. Card catalogs and library books. The first chill of fall meant indoor recess, and indoor recess sometimes meant the library, your school's dusty little time machine. The card catalog drawers had that wooden, musty scent mixed with ink and fingers that just ate cafeteria tater tots. Every book had a unique smell, some sweet and papery, others old and sour, like someone's attic. And you remember flipping through pages that still had that stiff library paste smell, or maybe even a hint of someone's lunchbox banana. All of it somehow comforting, like knowledge, mildew, and peace. Number 5. Plastic lunchboxes and thermos bottles. Fall lunches weren't gourmet. They were reliable. You had your plastic lunchbox, maybe with Holly Hobby, Donnie and Marie, or the Bionic Woman plastered on the front, and inside, a thermos that never kept anything quite the right temperature. But the real star was the scent. The second you popped that latch, boom, stale bread, warm peanut butter, wax paper, and maybe a hint of grape jelly that had escaped containment. If your thermos carried soup, it left behind a lingering smell that never left the inside of the lid. Hold up. Turns out 90% of you are sniffing around these videos without subscribing. If this isn't your first whiff of nostalgia, go ahead and hit that button. Don't make me send a mimeographed reminder. And if you're on Facebook, come join the party. Number 6. PlayDoh and pink erasers.
It's the PlayDoh Fuzzy Pumper Barber and Beauty Shop.
Sit right down, crank up the chair as Daddy grows his Play-Doh hair, shave and a haircut.
Back when school supplies weren't digital and didn't need charging, they were sensory experiences. Play-Doh had that unmistakable salty dough smell that made you want to taste it. Most kids did. And even if it turned the color of pavement after a few mixes, it still smelled like recess and rainy days. Pink erasers? They didn't really erase that well, but they smelled like they meant business. A little rubbery, a little chemical, and a lot like trying to fix math answers you guessed at in pencil. You could have bottled that scent and sold it under the label Academic Panic. Number 7. Chalkboards. Before whiteboards, before projectors, there was chalk. And chalk had a smell. dry, dusty, with a hint of stress. You'd walk into a classroom and instantly know someone had erased the board with a half-wet sponge and left a foggy, milky film behind. The erasers smelled like fabric, sweat, and whatever was growing in the tray underneath. The whole setup reeked of serious education. If your teacher wore Charlie perfume or Brut cologne, the chalk smell would fight for dominance and sometimes lose. But fall without chalk dust? That's like Halloween without candy corn. Questionable, but essential. Number 8. Avon Samples and Beauty Salon Perms.
It's your way of looking good. Avon knows there's no magic to looking good.
Moms didn't do autumn looks the way they do now. They did Avon. Fall meant a rotation of scent samples stuffed into catalog pages. Muskier perfumes, richer creams, maybe a woodsy cologne she'd test out on Dad. It was an olfactory guessing game. Some smelled like sophistication, others like a bad decision in a glass bottle. And let's not forget the salon visits. If you walked past a beauty parlor in October, the air reeked of permanent wave solution, like pickled rubber tires. It was awful, but it was the smell of your mom coming home with tighter curls and higher volume, ready for PTA and pumpkin pie. Number 9. Polaroid film canisters.
How much should you expect from a great camera? Polaroid's SX70 lets you shoot automatically, very close, or very far away.
There was a very specific click, whir, and smell that came with taking Polaroids. The film packs had this plasticky, chemical odor, kind of like burned rubber and developer fluid, that let you know magic was about to happen. You'd shake the photo like it made a difference. It didn't. Then sniff your fingers like some kind of camera addict. And fall was full of photo ops, raked leaf piles, trick-or-treat costumes, and your cousin in a plastic Bigfoot mask. Every blurry snapshot was immortalized with that faint scent of mystery chemicals and childhood memories. Number 10. Baseball card gum. The gum was bad? No, really? Bad. But the smell? Fall meant the last gasps of baseball season, and for a lot of us that meant blowing allowance on a pack of tops. You'd tear open the wax wrapper, and before even looking at the cards, you inhaled. That dusty, powdery cardboard meets bubblegum scent was the real prize. The gum itself could snap like a toothpick and tasted like chalk dipped in spearmint. But the smell? It was September afternoons, empty bleachers, and the sound of your older brother yelling at the TV during the World Series. Number 11. Magic markers.
Creativity can be fun with Crayola crayons and Crayola markers. Why Crayola markers? Here's our point. Skinny at the end, fat on the sides.
Before scented markers were a thing, regular markers had their own charm. The kind of scent that made you feel dizzy, thrilled, and slightly concerned about your brain cells. Fall meant projects, posters, homemade Halloween decorations. And for that, you needed your trusty pack of thick, uncapped magic markers that bled through 3 sheets of paper. That solventy, vaguely fruity smell was half the experience. Everyone had their favorite: black for outlines, red for drama, green for overuse. And by the time the marker dried out, your fingers were stained, your lungs slightly confused, and your poster? A masterpiece. Number 12. Future floor wax and library linoleum. By the time November rolled around, school hallways and living rooms alike took on a distinct scent: cleaning products. Future floor wax had this sharp, fake lemon smell that could knock you back if the janitor went a little too hard on the application. And that was just the beginning. Linoleum floors in the library? They had their own aroma. Part plastic, part mop water, part foot traffic. You could feel the smell stick to the bottom of your shoes. If fall had a soundtrack, it was the squeak of clean linoleum paired with the distant hum of a film projector and someone coughing 3 rows over. Fall in the 1970s wasn't about pumpkin spice, it was about real smells. Weird, comforting, chemical, dusty, waxy, musty smells that made up your day-to-day life. The kinds of scents that, if you caught just a whiff of today, would knock you straight back to 9th grade algebra or your friend's shag-carpeted living room. So if you're ever standing in a craft store or thumbing through an old book and suddenly feel 14 again, that's not time travel. That's your nose doing the heavy lifting. Hit that subscribe button if you want more memory lane strolls like this, and drop a comment. What's the scent that still brings fall in the 70s rushing back for you? Until next time, breathe deep and enjoy the nostalgia.